Hey, Scott Parody here. I'm continuing with my sneak peek into my current money games project, playing and winning the money game. If you've watched the last one, I was specifically focused. So, Money Game Rules Part One was specifically focused on the real economy, Main Street, value creation money game. Today, in this session, what I want to talk about is the second version of the money game, the version that most people are losing the money game. They're losing, but they don't understand how is it that I can never get ahead? How is it that I run out of money before I run out of month? It's because they don't understand the games they are playing. Two versions of the money game: the real economy, Main Street, value creation money game is how we all add value, bring value, do productive things for other people. We provide products, we build products, we create products, and we provide services, add value, increase the pie so that we can all prosper and benefit. Now, I've taken you through these steps before, but what happens is we have this real economy that comes together and actually coalesces into a productive, prospering economy. Well, we always create money to help facilitate this functioning of the economy. Once we create money, we start to exchange value using this medium of exchange, which is money, this medium of exchange. But what ends up happening every single time, we end up empowering the money. Then our focus becomes the money. It's no longer creating value. Once we do that, it's like shooting ourselves in the foot. We start working backwards because the ambitious, the most aggressive players are going to work to seize control of the money, and it always happens. They seize control of the money. And then this new game evolves. So instead of creating value, adding value, bringing value, worthwhile value, increasing the pie, creating wealth, the game changes because we've empowered money, and now the focus becomes on getting the money. And this new financial game, this power game, overlays the real economy money game. And most people do not know that that exists. But there are two games played by very different rules with very different objectives. So if you want to succeed in the money game, now I present this and people question, okay, wait a minute. Aren't games supposed to be fun? Well, yes, this is fun. This is play. I get that. Now, but if you're always losing, so think about a board game, a card game, a sport, anything that you've played. If you always lose, do you enjoy getting out there all the time? Most people, some people don't mind losing if they play the game well. And that's a matter of fact, that's the best way to play the game is you want to play the game well. Sometimes you win, sometimes you won't. Sometimes it's a more skilled player. Sometimes you're just not at the top of your game, but at least you think you have a fair chance of winning the game. Most people don't understand what's going on, so they never are competing well in this game. They don't understand the rules and they never have developed the skills. That's what this project is all about, recognizing the games that we're playing that are in fact fun. They are enjoyable. But if you're always losing, you're going to think, well, this is no fun. I lose all the time. But you can't walk away from this game. This is not optional. The real economy value creation game is a game we all play. Unless you want to retreat from society, you are playing this game. Unfortunately, most people are being played. They are being played, and we've talked about some of that in the past. But here are the rules. Now, so the games are fun, but if they really can be very frustrating and very painful if you don't understand either the rules of the game or the skills that you need to develop so that you can succeed, at least play well in the real economy money game or in this financial version of the money game. I'm not judging either game that you're playing. Just understand there are different objectives and different rules in each of these games. Most people don't understand even that the games are being played or what the rules are. How come I just keep losing? I just keep losing. Well, you've got to understand the rules of the game and you've got to develop the skills to be successful. So, if we're playing the financial version of the money game, what's the end state objective? The end state objective, ultimately, if I simplify it, is to acquire power. Well, what the heck does that mean? What is the power? The power is if you acquire, in this case, we initially acquire money, but money is depreciating at about, in the US dollar is depreciating about 7% a year. So in 10 years, this will be worth half of what it is today. So we know it's depreciating. So the intelligent players recognize I've got to get out of dollars and I got to get into an appreciating asset, something that is in high demand. So the flow of the game for the financial power players, if you will, is that I will acquire dollars initially, and I will convert those dollars into appreciating assets. Appreciating assets. It could be company ownership, stocks, and could be company debt, like bonds and so forth. So stocks would be equity, debt would be bonds. It could be real estate. Real estate has historically been the basis of building wealth because people need real estate to grow their food and then to have a shelter and so forth. That has been the grounding of our economy, is getting control of real estate. Well, these days it still is a valuable appreciating asset. So what you do is you get dollars and then you get appreciating assets. So we have stocks and bonds, we have real estate, we have things like collectibles, which in many cases, kind of things, well, I'm getting into an aside here. So let me just go back to my sense of playing this financial version of the money game. The objective is different. Now, some people aren't playing for power over. The power over is power over people. Once I get control of assets, get control of money, I have control over people. But some people aren't playing specifically for that reason. They're playing to have a secure life so that they can then live the way they want. They can have financial freedom. Most people, that's not even an option. Not even an option. But what are the rules of the game? Well, first of all, if we're playing by the real economy money game, it's a fair game. Everyone has opportunity. We're bringing value to the table. In the financial power money game, by design, it is a deceit and deception game. It's like the game of Survivor. And I've mentioned this before. If you watch Survivor, it's outwit, outlast, outplay. That is what the financial power money game is. So rules are different. Objective in the real economy is bring value to the table. That way the pie expands. In the financial game, we're dividing the pie. We don't care about expanding the pie. All we're doing is acquiring as much as we can, as quickly as we can. If it's dollars, convert the dollars then into assets, appreciating assets. This is how folks can get that momentum of building huge fortunes, is they get control of some money initially and then get control of appreciating assets. Those appreciating assets, the value of compound interest starts to work in their favor. Well, if compound interest is working in somebody's favor, it's working against others. The few, it's working for. The masses, it's working against. So, what kinds of rules are we talking about in the financial power money game? Well, asset accumulation acrobatics. What we want to do is get control of assets, whether we do it by gambling, whether we do it by deceit or deception, whether we do it in the real economy money game by bringing value, but then get control of assets. And we'll do it by whatever means are necessary. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Some people can play the financial power game honorably and honestly, but it has an option to play deceptively and deceitfully. Understand, if you're playing the game, if you're playing real economy money game, not everybody's playing that game by the rules. Not everybody is bringing value. Some people are taking. Well, most people want to give value. They want to make, but some people do not. They are takers. Well, the financial power money game is one that attracts folks who don't necessarily want to play by any rules, or intelligently enough, they realize that if I get control of the rule makers, then I can set my own rules to my own advantage. And that's part of the game. Understand that that is part of the game. Deception and duplicity. deception and duplicity are parts of the game. Now, I'm not saying that this I'm not trying to judge this. This is not something that I'm condemning. I'm just saying if you're going to play the game, realize that these are parts of the game. Political puppeteering, gaining control of the rule makers, if you will, gaining control of the rule makers and writing the rules so I have an advantage. That is a classic. That is the classic move in the power game. Gain control of the political power, and then I can shift the game, tilt the field to my advantage. That's what I'm trying to do in this financial power money game. I've got to take some risks. You've got to take some risks. Whether you're playing the real economy money game, you're risking, you're here, but you're playing. Play. The financial money game, you're going to take some risks as well. The idea is to control as much as possible. Gain control, but you can do that through allies. And this is part of the game. You build a network that will help reinforce your strategy, your moves in the game. And I talk about this all the time. It's much like the game of Survivor. The game of Survivor, if you watch that show at all, it is they're stabbing each other in the back, but they're doing it with a smile. It's all part of the game. That's what it is in this financial power money game as well. The implications are real world, however. The implications are real world. Exploit where you can to your advantage. Ethics, they're elastic. In this version of the financial power money game, ethics are elastic. Realize if you're trying to play a noble, honorable game, even in the financial sphere, many people are not. You must be aware of that. Smoke and mirrors are standard practice for the financial power money game because the end state is power. Now, this is a collective game. We all agree to this. We all have empowered this game to exist. So, if you're going to play the game, then you got to understand the rules of the game. That's what I'm talking about. Understand the rules and develop the skills to play well. It is about ego expansion. It is about gaining control of those assets because once you have control of those assets, you control what people do. And that is the end state of the game. That's winning the game in the financial power money game. So, what do you think? How is that for a summary of these two versions of the game? In part one, I talked about the real economy, Main Street, value creation money game. We bring value to the table. We exchange that value with other people and we increase the pie. It's a win-win game. We all prosper. You are playing this game whether you know it or not. The second version of the game overlays the real economy. It's a financial, Wall Street, power money game. The end objective is gaining control of assets, which then lead to potential power over people. The rules of each of those games are very different, very different. Understand which version of the game you're playing, or be aware at least that there are what I call bear traps. These are debt traps that are set out all over the place trying to snare you. You've got to be aware of debt traps. Most Americans are caught in debt traps and it just keeps getting worse. Just keeps getting worse. But we can't seem to figure out what the heck is happening. It's because we're caught in debt traps or we're lured in by what I call this idea of bull riding. You create this story that then tries to capitalize on our greed. And we lure you into this game, like pulling you into the casino so that you're now going to start making bets in a losing game. It's a losing game. What I'm trying to do through this project is educate folks on this idea that we're all playing the game, but there are two versions being played, and then to understand the distinction between the two so that you can understand the rules of the game and develop the skills to succeed. I'm Scott Parody. Thanks for taking some time to listen, but please give me some feedback. Send me your thoughts. Give me what you think about the rules of the game, the two games as I've laid them out, and how people will best respond as I go forward with this project. Looking forward to getting your feedback